Hello everyone. In this video I'll be talking with you about some very basic number concepts, and I'll be introducing some PowerPoint slides for that presentation that I'm going to be doing on basic number concepts. So let's go ahead and take a look at those slides. Okay, and so we are on to our basic math concepts review, part 2. So factors, multiples, and divisibility. What are factors? A factor of an integer is a number that will divide evenly into that integer. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 are all factors of 12. Note that each number divides evenly into 12. So let's analyze this. 12 over 12 is 1, 12 over 6 is 2, 12 over 4 is 3, 12 over 3 is 4, 12 over 2 is 6, and 12 over 1 is 12. Multiples. Multiples of an integer are all the integers for which the original integer is a factor. Example, the multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, and 32. There are an infinite number of multiples for any given number. So as you can see, I have 3 dots here, which is to indicate that there are infinite numbers of multiples for any given number. So for 8, that would be like 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24, 8 times 4 is 32, and so on. Note, 0 is a multiple of every number. So prime numbers. What is a prime number? A prime number is an integer that only has 2 factors, itself and 1. For example, some prime numbers are 2, 3, and 37. 37 is prime because the only numbers that divide evenly into it is itself and 1. The same is true for 2 and 3. But take note that 1 itself is not a prime number, because it only has what? 1 and 1, which is already 1, so it's redundant, so it doesn't qualify as itself and 1. So 1 is not a prime number. Neither is 0, by the way. Basic divisibility points for us to remember are: number 1, an integer is always divisible by its factors. An integer is divisible by 2 if its units digit is even, and we talked about this before in a previous slide. So for example, 1252876, so that'd be 1,252,876 divided by 2 gives us 626,438. And so that's because the units digit is even, that 6 is even, so that makes the whole entire number itself also divisible by 2. Number 3, an integer is divisible by 3 if the sum of its digits are divisible by 3 as well. So for example, 2145 is divisible by 3 because when we add up 2, 1, 4, 5, we get 12, and 12 over 3 equals 4. So that makes the whole entire number itself, 2145, divisible by 3. Number 4, an integer is divisible by 4 if its last 2 digits form a number that's divisible by 4. So for example, 712 is divisible by 4 because 12 is divisible by 4. An integer is divisible by 5 if its units digit is either 0 or 5. So for example, 23,645 divided by 5 equals 4729. Notice here that we have 5 here in our ones place, our units digit, and that makes it divisible by 5. Or if we have 23,620 divided by 5, that's also divisible by 5 because of that 0 being in the ones place here. And it gives us a result of 4,724. Next, number 6. An integer is divisible by 6 if it is divisible by both 2 and 3. So, for example, 4290 divided by 6 equals 715. It is divisible by 2 because the units digit is even. 0 there is even. And it is divisible by 3 because 4 plus 2 plus 9 plus 0 equals 15. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that means that it's divisible by 6. So next, number 7. An integer is divisible by 8 if its last 3 digits form a number that is divisible by 8. So for example, 11,640 is divisible by 8 because 640 is divisible by 8. So that gives us a result of 11,640 over 8 gives us a result of 1455. And that's because the 640 is divisible by 8, and that gives us a result of 80. Number 8. An integer is divisible by 9 if the sum of its digits are divisible by 9. Example, 1881 is divisible by 9 because 1, 8, 8, and 1, if we add all of those digits up individually, we get a result of 18. 18 divided by 9 is 2. Next, number 9. An integer is divisible by 10 if its units digit is 0. So, for example, 1590 is divisible by 10 because its units digit is 0. Okay, so again, if the integer is divisible by 10, its units digit is 0. And I think that that's a very intuitive property and it's very useful. So for example, 1590 over 10 is just 159. It's divisible by 10 because that units digit is a 0. Remainders. If an integer is not divisible by another, you will have an integer left over after you divide. This leftover integer is called a remainder. This also means that the integer that you are dividing by is not a factor of the integer that is being divided. So for example, 5 over 3 equals 1 with a remainder of 2. Next, note that remainders are always less than the number you are dividing by. When the number that you are dividing by is larger than the number being divided, the remainder is the number being divided. So for example, 5 over 6 equals 0 with a remainder of 5. So let's go over a short vocabulary list just to make sure that we've clarified some very basic vocabulary points here. A sum. What is a sum? It's just simply the result of addition. What is a difference? It's the result of subtraction. A product. A product is the result of multiplication. A quotient. A quotient is the result of division. A divisor. What is a divisor? It's the number that you divide by. Numerator. What is a numerator? It is the top number in a fraction. And a denominator. A denominator is the bottom number in a fraction. Consecutive. It means to be in order from least to greatest. And terms. What are terms? The numbers and expressions used in an equation. So this is the end of the material that we have here for our basic math concepts review in part 2. So as normal, as usual, practice, because practice will help you become more fluent with the material. Thank you for watching this video on basic number concepts. Hopefully it helps you build more of your intuition with numbers in general. Thank you again for watching and have a nice day.